Hey guys, Eric here with Performance Golf. In today's video, we're talking about a takeaway mistake that could be literally costing you 20 shots out onto the golf course. We've talked in videos before, and you guys hopefully know by now how you start the swing has everything to do with what happens later on. It's either gonna make things easier or more difficult. Today's video, we're gonna show you a drill and some feels that you can take to start the swing correctly, get the takeaway down, and make the rest of your swing much easier. To my right, Mr. Rick Smith, longtime coach out on tour, coached a lot of great players, noticeably Phil Mickelson, right? Masters champ, Jack Nicklaus, you may have heard him before, Rocco Meade, tons of guys on tour. So we're super pumped to have him out here to learn from today, to share some drills. So Rick, thanks for being out here, man.
Great
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's great. We're trying to grow this game, make people better.
Let's do it.
It's fun being here.
And this takeaway drill, I think, is going to do just that. So I've seen you do some videos before, Rick, and we're talking a little bit about Jack Nicklaus and some of his swing feels.
Absolutely.
There was a 2x4 on the ground in the video that I saw. We have a club on the ground,
Yeah.
and you guys can mimic this with a sand wedge. Rick, can you kind of walk us through what this drill is and how they can get them starting their swing correctly?
One thing for sure, what we see the mistake, that everybody wonders why they don't turn well, and you hear, oh, I don't turn well, I pick the club head up, I don't feel what I see with good players. And what you see with great players is you see the hands, arms, chest, back, kind of push the club back this way, and that width creates turn that you see with the greatest players in the world, right? So you got to have a feel. Back to feels. Feels are really key, and drills are key. So this is what, and I do 2x4s because usually on ranges, there's 2x4s everywhere they use for alignment stations.
Yeah.
And I steal one and I go ahead and I'm putting it on the ground behind the ball like this. And notice how the back of the club is resting here. Now, visually, it's great because my shoulders feel square to that. My knees, my hips, everything is good. My eyes. So it's kind of an optical thing for the setup. But now the motor begins. What do we feel? I feel like I'm gonna push this grip back, and I'm gonna literally push it back and then go into a set. I'm feeling so loaded, ready to go. You know, Eric, as you know, this swing's a second and a half. You don't have time to think of a million things.
Right.
But what I like about this exercise, it's really a sensation of activating the back, the chest, the arms, and then I can go into a really good set. Notice too, when I get to here, the handle's pointing not straight down, nor is it dead horizontal, it's somewhere in between that. And then I go ahead and make my move through. So what a feel off the ball. You should try it. You want to do it?
Yeah, I'm going to hop in there.
Okay.
And I know in one of the videos, Rick, we're doing this, I've got some questions about it here. In one of the videos, you were talking about, Jack working on his takeaway in his backswing.
Yes.
Jack Nicklaus, that is, for those wondering. And how he was talking about if he got the width piece early, that created the turn.
One thing I asked him, this is back in the 90s, and I said, Jack Rout was his guy. Scioto Country Club. Fortunately, that's where I taught for 3 years. I was there as a young teacher,
So cool.
out of the tee forever. And Jack Rout was the one that really made Jack who he was. And I asked Jack, I said, Jack, when you used to swing back, did you ever think turn? He said, I never thought about turn. So I said, okay. So I'm watching this width, and the width created it. You look at Tiger in his best days. Tiger was this big turn, short arm swing guy. I mean, 120 degrees of turn with his arms out here. How are you going to do that if you don't get it activated right away? Most people don't activate the back, the chest, the arms, the shoulders, and feel like they're pushing something back, getting that width, and then maintaining that feeling of width.
Yeah.
The other thing Jack Rout used to tell Jack, other than getting wide, and he'd stand back there and say, put the club in my hand, he would really get some width. And then he said, Jackie, get your hands up.
Yeah.
So the turn makes everything get flat. So he made him do those two things.
Let's focus on what really matters. I'm Erika Larkin, Golf Digest Top 50 coach, and after teaching thousands of golfers, I've discovered most players are focused on the wrong target. Most golfers don't realize this, but every player has about 5 swing flaws. The key to improving isn't trying to fix them all, it's knowing which one to work on first. Because when you fix the right one, it creates this amazing domino effect that clears up multiple other flaws automatically. At Performance Golf, we use this cool process called the immersion method to find and fix your root swing flaw. This is a 48-hour in-person experience. You'll work directly with me or one of the other world-class coaches to fix the one thing that's been holding your game back. We'll keep our groups small at beautiful locations across the country, and the progress I see is incredible. Dennis, for example, dropped 8 shots after fixing his root flaw. How great is that?
Since the school, my golf game has improved by 8 to 9 shots. I starting to love the game of golf a little more. I'm not getting near as frustrated. Before the school, I was handicapped 26.6, slicing real bad to the right. Couldn't hit my irons flush.
If this sounds like the breakthrough you've been waiting for, click below and see if there's a spot open. This could be the one thing that takes your game to that next level.
Wow. The beauty is get that feeling and push this thing back, and you can even hit balls like this. Go ahead and push it back.
Yeah, Rick, when I'm lining up this, sorry to interrupt you, I just want to ask a question. So as I'm doing this here, am I starting with the club on the wooden block or the club like this?
You can start. I would ideally like to see it to where it's right on it. Okay. Yeah, it's right on it. Okay. So now from here you can feel the pressure and what it's going to take, and then you go into do you feel that?
That feels so for me when I go like this, I'm a no body, arms and hands guy.
There you go.
That feels dramatically different immediately. And that's primarily because I'm like having to push a weight back.
And what do you do? What do you push it with? You're taking bigger muscles and the smaller ones, and you're trying to really feel that pushback. And again, you're activating your core early, but without turning inside.
I don't feel any of that when I'm doing my normal bad swing when I go under plane like that.
This is why this is so good.
It's like immediate feedback with that. So I'm kind of having on the club here. So back, kind of chest, core.
Don't you feel if I had a 2x4 or a heavy object, you're not going to be able to do that unless you use those parts of your body.
I would go like this.
Yeah.
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 You know, some would argue, hey, it's a set and a turn. Well, this is a good way to get your turn without thinking about it. Get your width, get your turn.
Yeah, I like that. I think you guys watching are going to really like this. And you've seen some different versions of this. Maybe you're pushing a ball back or some other things. But having something that's a little heavier, I imagine even a 2x4 would be so good with this.
It's perfect.
When you guys do this and feel what it feels like, because when you're practicing or you're doing a lesson, you get put in a position, I think it's one thing, but to do it in motion and get a sense immediately of what correct is really what we're all looking for. And this, Rick, that's probably as good of anything I've seen in terms of how do I actually get going? How do I get started? Use my big muscle. So I'm pushing this back. And then I'm in this position here where I've got this width.
That's right.
Right? The butt of the club at this point is kind of right back at me. If I pop that in there.
Let's put this in here.
Yeah, okay.
Get that sense.
A little 2-for-1 deal.
No, I think it's good they see that. Now, Eric, they can feel the first move, and then they can go into the proper direction of how the wrists are kind of hinging from there.
Yeah, because I know someone watching, Rick, will be like, okay, and what I'd be wondering is, hey, when I do this correctly, I push it back, I feel my big muscles.
That's right.
Now the butt of the club would be pointed sort of towards me.
That's right.
If I've got this alignment rod, you guys can just use an alignment rod on the side of the club. That's actually still on my hip. And then from here, we're saying, hey, I'm just kind of gently trying to get this on or inside the ball line.
I think anywhere between here and here is good. You don't want it vertical, and unless you got a huge reroute coming down the way down, and you don't want it horizontal.
Okay.
So if it's in between those parameters, it's usually pretty good.
Okay. So let me do one more little rehearsal.
I think the first move with the feeling the back, the chest is so key, and then go into the hinge from there. Beautiful. That's gorgeous. If you hit balls like that, your swing would be to here anyway. Yeah. So why don't we work on that more, right?
And it feels like I'm getting, for only a half swing, a healthy amount of turn without feeling turn at all.
Tiger 120 short arm swing. He's one of the best I've ever played ever, and maybe the best ever.
Let me see if I can feel that.
The power is amazing, and it's still controlled because your arm swing is not outrageously long. So your timing's going to be better.
And when someone's practicing this, right, like maybe if you put the wooden block and I have that, I'm doing 1 or 2 of those, get in there, hit a ball, try and feel the same thing.
Absolutely. Okay. So feel what you did on the pushback, and then let the weight of the club just naturally hinge back. Good.
Yeah, I feel, so when I normally swing, I don't feel my back at all when I'm doing that, which tells me I probably have a little problem there. I feel my back motions for sure, my chest and shoulders, and I probably turned, I don't know.
70 degrees.
And I felt no turn at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, Rick, I like where you're heading here,
Let's
man.
feel it.
So same thing, pushing the board away, little Jack Nicklaus.
That's pure.
Yeah, that felt really nice. I think one of the things that is noticeable for me and what you guys are probably looking for here, because takeaway mistakes and getting the swing started incorrectly causes so many issues later on. What we're saying is, okay, A, how am I supposed to start the swing? Big muscles push an object away. And if we do that part correct early, we get the club hinged somewhat on plane, we're gonna get a lot of good stuff later on for free.
Absolutely.
If that's true, that means if I don't do this well, I get all arms and hands or I'm off plane, I'm gonna have to spend the rest of the swing trying to make up for that.
Even more so. When you go this way and you've activated this, you remember what I said about if your width creates the turn,
Yeah.
your arms are gonna fall better naturally on plane. If you're doing it just with your arms, your body is not even turned.
Yeah, right. See that all day. All right, one more like that. I could probably stand here for an hour, Rick, and enjoy just pushing that back
Yeah, that's
to
a
get
good
a
feel.
sensation. Yeah, I like that. Let me hit one more little 8-iron here. The other thing I really like about that, Rick,
So good.
is it feels good to stand on the range, and you say that to me. Also, side note, one thing I noticed with that too is I feel like, guys, when I'm doing that, I can push it away. I feel the weight of the club move by my big muscles, and then I'm letting the club go.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like.
Well, and shouldn't you? You got a second and a half.
Oh,
How can you
yeah.
think about 80 things? You know, you can't.
We try sometimes.
I know.
4, 5, 6
and
things.
then we get fried.
So
Fried.
get the takeaway correct, get the beginning part of the swing correct. Use it. We just use a sand wedge. Rick said would work really good like that. You can just use that when you're at home. 2x4 like he uses, perfectly good. But you got to get the swing started correctly if it's off. Like when my takeaway is off, I feel like I'm working so hard the rest of the swing. When I do that well, it feels so easy. Rick, thanks for coming out today. Really appreciate it.
Good stuff.
This was
You're doing
awesome.
Good.
Thank
Swing's
you.
looking good.
Thank you guys for watching.